Good morning, everyone. My name is Wang Tiantian. I'm a PhD student majoring in special education in Beijing Normal University. And it's an honor, and I'm very happy to record a video to present my study. And thank you all for giving me this valuable opportunity. Okay, now let's get started. The title of my presentation is I Have to Leave Since I Want to Do More, a narrative inquiry of a Novice support teacher's emotions and identities in inclusive settings. And my presentation consists of 5 parts: introduction, theoretical underpinnings, the study, research findings, and conclusion and discussion. The first part is the introduction. As we know, globally, inclusive education has been the mainstream placement method for students with SEN. And in China, LRC, learning in regular classrooms, has been the dominant form of placement for students with SEN. So the last decade has witnessed a spurt of progress in special education in China. And more special educators, some support teachers, resource teachers, and some special educators have been working in general schools under the powerful core of policy and practice. However, inclusive support teachers or resource teachers has still been a new occupation in China. Full-time jobs just appear in some educationally developed cities like Beijing and Guangzhou, and research related to this group is still limited, and no research so far has explored support teachers themselves individual experience. So, drawing on the approach of narrative inquiry, my study examines how a Novice support teacher's team emotionally constructed her professional identity during the first year of teaching in general schools in Shenzhen, mainland China. And the teens' narrative experience might be a mirror for a better understanding of the real picture of LRC in China and generate some implications of how to improve the quality of inclusive education for students with SEN in China. The second part is theoretical underpinnings. Firstly, teacher identity and emotion. Teacher identity is a matter of being recognized as a certain kind of person by the teacher themselves and by others, so which provide a framework for teachers to construct their own ideas of how to be, how to act, and how to understand their work. And the process of teacher identity formation are fundamentally interrelated with their emotions. Emotions can inform and define teachers' professional and personal identities, and identity can in turn guide and shape teachers' emotional decisions and reactions. So, emotional rules embedded in the cultural expectations, social standards, and the professional norms of teaching can influence teachers' professional identity process, while the emotional rules dictate what kind of emotions teachers should express or suppress. So they also prescribe the kinds of identities they should or should not embrace in their work. In this sense, maintaining and controlling different emotions, especially some negative emotions, is an integral part of teachers' identity construction work, which can be referred to as emotional labor. Too much emotional labors can exert an eroding effect on the development of a professional identity. On the other hand, the teacher's professional identity are associated with teacher agency, which is determined by the individual's ability to reflect on their actions and achieve through their resistance to, instructional structures. The second is a narrative perspective on teacher identity and emotions. By constructing and telling our own narratives, people can give explanation to their actions, make sense of their relationship with others, reflect on the past, and plan for the future. And in the field of teacher education, narrative inquiry as both a research method, a research approach, and also a research product, because it has shed light on the complex and the dynamic process of teachers' identity formation, in which their emotions plays a important role. And this is my conceptual framework. I really want to know, how did the participant, the Novice support teachers, how she construct her professional identity in relation to the emotions she experienced in the first year of teaching. And my research method is narrative inquiry. The contest is in Shenzhen in mainland China, and the participant is teen's case, because my study have many requirements, and teen is a very suitable case to explain, because she provided abundant information and she was good at expressing herself and reflecting her experience. She was also an interesting extreme case, because her emotional identity construction process finally influenced her career choice. And my data collection consists of formal interview, informal interview, and emotional diaries. And this is some introduction of teen and my participant. As a result, 4 major themes reflecting teens' emotional identities were identified, including 4 parts. Am ready to be an inclusive pioneer. Am just a transparent outsider. Am a good friend and supporter of my students. I want to be a counter-trend runaway. Following the identification of the 4 themes, the first author, examined the themes by rereading the original data and composing mini stories. And through the process of deconstructing, constructing, and reconstructing the social meaning in writing mini stories with reference to the identified themes, the storyline of teens' narratives was thus developed, and the constructed narratives was also shared with teen continued, not only to validate the data analysis result, but also to enrich and enhance our narrative inquiry by gathering more insights and ideas from teen and herself. My research findings, the first sub-themes is being excited and nervous and ready to be an inclusive pioneer. Influenced by teens' teacher education course, teen realized support teacher is a meaningful job produced in inclusive education trained. So she feels like I'm the first man to eat the crumbs. I'm ready to be a pioneer of inclusive education. And the teen began to construct her identity as a coordinator with general teachers to cater to the pupils. However, for beginning teachers facing a new environment with different organizational systems and culture can be challenging and intimidating, especially when teen was not very confident about her teaching competence and invention proficiency. So she was worried it might be difficult for her to implement her ideas. Additionally, she was also anxious about the relationship with general teachers, because her work was needed to cooperate with general teachers. So she thought, if general teachers don't approve my ideas, I'm concerned that my work cannot carry out fluently. But despite these conflicting emotions, Ting was still optimistic about the oncoming teaching practice and her future works as a support teacher to be. These emotions testified to her budding identity as a inclusive support teachers. Um, The second sub-theme is being shocked and isolated. I'm just a transparent outsider. It's understandable that support teachers might experience some reality shock due to the change of learning environment from university to the real school. So in Ting's case, this shock was particularly severe to begin with, when she found some general teachers almost know nothing about inclusive education. And she said the principal briefly introduced her 特教老师, a special educational teacher. And then a senior Chinese teacher asked her, how have you been a 特级老师? 特级老师 means superior grade teacher at such a young age. She was totally shocked because she thinks the general teachers seems to know nothing about special education and inclusive education. And in addition, the traditional culture gene in China breeds the evaluation mechanism of examination scores only in Gaokao. Gaokao is the college entrance examination, which plays a role as a button controlling the direction of elementary education. So under such a high-risk evaluation mechanism, the only indicator to evaluate general teachers is the teaching ability. In other words, is whether they can improve students' academic performance in the standardized examination or not. Therefore, excluding students with SEN into general teachers' evaluation system has been a so-called understandable common practice in general schools. So it's important reason why teens suffered the shock from leaders and colleagues. On the one hand, general teachers were unwilling to cooperate with teens and refused to co-teaching. On the other hand, teens' leader adopted a negative attitude to her, and the leaders paid little attention in inclusive education. And there was no evaluation for teaching of students with SEN and no check for her work. Ting realized that in the eyes of her leaders and colleagues, the occupation, inclusive support teachers, is not essential. The third sub-theme is be happy and pride. I'm a good friend and supporter of children. With a better understanding of special teachers' situation in the inclusive settings and driven by the negative emotions she encountered, Ting tried to reflect on herself and exercise her sense of agency so as to bring some positive change to her working environment. I must do something, being an educator, actor, and change agent of an inclusive education. So Ting began to set up a hidden disability program to help students with ADHD or learning disabilities, which is also her research field during her master life. So she provided special education service every week. And very happy, Ting's effort seemed to pay off as her students performed well in the middle term examination. And what really brought her joy and satisfaction was students' love and positive attitudes. One of the students sent her a notebook with a comment for Ting. You are the best teacher in the world. I really want to take you lesson every day. This comment made Ting very moved and proud because these students might be problematic in general classrooms, but in her classroom, they can perform themselves freely. But Ting tried to bring some innovations to her work, and the joy derived from students' progress and the pride from their others' recognition dispelled the anxiety her previously felt. More importantly, they helped Ting cope with the negative feelings like shock and isolated he initially experienced, thus giving strong impetus to her identity growth as a caring and supportive teacher. But she still felt that she could not really generate significant impact on inclusive education development in the schools because others rarely care about the exam result. I think the reason, Tinkley said, I think the real reason why they supported me is I did what could improve students' exam scores. However, those with intellectual disabilities cannot get, they cannot get high score for forever. Could it be said that they cannot receive high quality inclusive education in general schools? And the fourth part is sub-themes is being angry and hopeless. I want to be a counter-trend runaway. Ting attached great importance to her hidden disability program because she was keen to applying her beliefs about inclusive practice into the real classrooms, hoping to lead the students to experience the fun and the pleasure of learning. However, it turned to be that the leader of the school district leaders placed strict control on her teaching. He doesn't understand this program at all. She said, my students should be home with a formal disability certificate. He thinks it will disperse my work energy. She said it's not feasible and then quickly canceled my program. The leader's control deprived the team of her professional autonomy and agency in implementing her beliefs about inclusive education. Additionally, the different emotional rules embedded in the general schools also became a critical source of emotional labor with negative impact on her identity development. Like she's at the bottom of the school hierarchy and cannot surprise her leader. And she's a novice teacher, and so she needed to look confident and assertive. And also, she's a special education teacher, so she's on behalf of the whole group. All of this became a source of her negative source because she must obey these so-called emotional rules. Ting had to follow different emotional rules by hiding her emotional turbulence in front of others, like her colleagues and her mentors and her leaders. And the negative emotional labor took a toll on her teacher identity. Finally, this kind of intense emotional labor eroded her professional identity formation ultimately. She finally chose to return to a separate special school to continue her work. I want to return to special school because I want to help those who really need me. I wanted to leave since I wanted to do more. I'm a counter-trained special education teacher. And based on my research findings, I construct an emotional process of support teachers' identity construction. And the identity construction process consists of initial identity, identity conflict, identity development, identity conflict, and identity crisis. And we found based on the research findings, we found the teen have has much negative emotions, because others' negative attitudes. And the real reason of others' negative attitudes is there's no accountability mechanism for students with disabilities under the elitism culture. And the teen must control and suppress her emotions, because there are many emotional rules embedded in the general school under the collectivism culture. Finally, all of these cause intense emotional neighbors on teen, and this Novice support teachers. So finally, she choose to leave this general schools and return to the special educational schools and being a runaway teacher. This study demonstrates that inclusive support teachers' emotions and identities are fundamentally interrelated and narrative in nature. And the different stories teen experienced and constructed served as a narrative site through which her identity as a support teacher was shaped and reshaped in relation to her internal emotion struggle and conflicts, as well as the external institutional and social cultural context. Drawing on teens' storied experience during the first year of teaching, this study further reveals the complex and contested emotional process of a support teacher's identity construction, which are influenced by her relationship with the leaders, colleagues, and the students, the situated school system and culture with embedded hidden emotional rules, as well as her own emerging sense of professional agency. And we found indifferent leaders and uncooperative general teachers were the main source of her conflicting emotions. And the deep reason is there's no accountability mechanism for students with disabilities under elitism culture in China. And the hidden emotional rules embedded in the school context under the collectivism culture posed a challenge to her emotional expression and caused emotional labor, eroding her professional identity development. Finally, the emotional rules under the collectivism, like high power distance, so teen cannot express her negative emotion to her leaders, and the collectivism culture advocate authority and pursuing order and efficiency. So teen must follow leaders' ideas and opinions, and also a collectivism culture emphasize on belonging, emphasize on individual obeying organization. So teen thought she was belong to the special educational teacher group, so she needed to control her negative emotion. And we think the source of resource teachers and support teachers' negative emotions has been practical obstacle in the developing process of inclusive education in China. And inclusive support teachers' identity construction experience was the real epitome of the incomplete and inadequate development of inclusive education. And that's all about my study and my presentation. And thank you all for your attention.